Good morning from Atlanta, Georgia. We're streaming live on the Influencers Podcast today. This is Dr. Bill Williams, and I'm glad to be your host today on the Influencers Podcast, where we're interviewing a very good friend of mine from the Notel Corporation. This is Fayyaz Rajpari. So, Raj, come on in and let's see what we have to offer today to our guest.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Fayyaz, I want you to tell me a bit about your company, Notel, and what happened. How did you get started? What inspired you to get into this particular business?
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'll kind of go back a little bit and talk about my life story. I won't take too long, but I really started out in the late '90s, I would say, and that was at a large insurance company called Allstate. And back then, I was basically just a lowly desktop support engineer. But I was actually introduced to cybersecurity in the early 2000s. I was given an opportunity to support the team and then ended up becoming a security professional. Worked there for quite some time and ended up leaving back in 2010 and had the opportunity to work for many large cybersecurity companies, I'd say, and got to quickly learn how to present, communicate. I would say it was very hard in the beginning, but I had good people that I worked around, really smart people that I worked around. I was very lucky to be around smart people. But most recently, I've built some very strong relationships, and my inspiration, I would say, came from a good friend I worked with for many years back at Allstate Insurance, and we were both security engineers. He and I reconnected, and actually started doing quite a bit over the height of the pandemic. We started collaborating a lot. And just everyone says they have their side hustles, and we started doing a lot of that too, right? On the side with cryptocurrencies and investments, and started earning some passive income. And we quickly came back into cybersecurity again because that's what we do. And we challenged each other a ton. And here I am owning and operating my own cybersecurity, not only my own cybersecurity consulting business, but also have had the opportunity to become advisory board member and investor for other cybersecurity startups. The one that, especially for topic of today, is Notel. It's primarily focused on empowering everyone to make good and correct security decisions. Even when you're reading emails or text messaging and other forms of communications that many times, you just don't know if you're being a victim of a compromise, or if you've been asked to put in some specific information or get duped into clicking on a link. It's really to empower the everyday user so that you don't become a victim. And when I was introduced to this company by another gentleman, we're operating in stealth startup. I had to just be a part of it. So that's what kind of brought me here, and I wanted to share the story.
So did that initial foray into the cybersecurity world, did that start off by you seeing some kind of great failure in the business where somebody's business was wrecked by cybersecurity issues, or did you just naturally fall into that?
Yeah. No, in my 20-year cybersecurity career, I've seen a lot of that, right? A lot of organizations, either they being compromised, or having dealt with ransomware attacks, having to pay millions of dollars, right, to the bad guys. So it's one of those things where anyone in cybersecurity will tell you, right? It's not a question of if you'll get breached, but it's when you'll get breached, right? So just knowing and understanding this world, we want to be here to really strengthen the human element, because there's so much tech that could be thrown out there at any company, but in the end, it's humans against humans, right? It's good versus bad. So what can we do to empower the humans to make good decisions?
Well, let's start talking in the cybersecurity world about three things people do that cause them to fail. Of course, not having a security system in the first place is where they start, but tell us three reasons why they do get in trouble.
Yeah. I would say that the three things, it's a good question, is many times, people may just overlook something, right? And not even kind of thinking about stuff, and just do things because in today's world, everyone is doing numerous things at the same time, multitasking, and so many distractions with messaging and text messages and work and calls and whatever, right? Personal errands and things like that. So you just got to take a step back and really make sure that you're focused on the specific task at hand, right? That's an easy one to kind of forget about. And then also I'll say overthinking could be an issue as well, right? When you tend to overthink things, then it can hinder your actions and maybe sometimes even make a delay in taking an action. So action always beats inaction. And, when it comes to the world of tech, I see those things are really, really important. In the world of cybersecurity, this is nothing new that I'm saying, but layered defense is always very important, right? It's not that one shiny object that's going to help you. It's those numerous things that you're doing across the board from people, process, tech, that you need to have the tech in place, but you need to have the right people and processes aligned as well, right? That are critical in making sure that you're at least lowering the likelihood of a compromise.
So what motivates you to go to work every day and, dig into this cybersecurity field, helping people, educating people, because that's one of your main interests right now, is educating people about what's out there?
Yeah, I would say what motivates me is just making an impact, and making the world safe, right? Going back to the good and bad, right? And what side do you want to help with? Typically, it's people are good natured, and you want to help people be better. So it's immensely gratifying to know that you're helping folks, that you're there to make a world a safer place.
Does your company have a motto, something that they go by on a day-to-day basis?
A mantra? Yeah, I would say it's simple. It's to empower people, the everyday people, to make correct security decisions, right? That's quite simple.
So you're going to the general public with this no-tell message, not just to the corporate big companies.
Yeah, really good question, Bill. So what we're doing right now is we're actually in the process of onboarding actual companies, and both big and small businesses. It ranges in size, but we're focused on definitely corporations. But we do have an intention to actually have a consumer-based product too, so that anyone can just download it on Google, Apple, Apple App Store or Google Marketplace. And the intention here is just basically hook in to your emails and your text messaging, so that when you're looking at something that or you have some type of notion of if this is good or bad, right? Having like some type of meter that tells you that, hey, this is suspicious, or this is malicious, or this is good. There's nothing around it, and also giving you a context around why we thought that, right? So there's additional mechanisms in place put in. So it's kind of like thinking about if you think about how you have a lane assist in a car, right? Or the newer cars, at least, not the older cars, the newer ones, right? Where you go over a lane and it pushes you back into your lane, and it keeps you in your lane, right? So think about that for cybersecurity. How nice would it be if you're about to do something, or put in your credit card information, or click on that link? It's like, no, don't do that. That's bad. And this is why, right? That sender's bad, or there's this link, and this link is pointing to some other malicious site. Definitely don't do that, right? So that's the whole thought.
So that would tie into the success secrets that others can learn from or actually use to help them be cyber secure. What three things do you do that are significant?
For me personally, success secrets are a lot more. So let me maybe I'll pivot over into personal life as well, right? I would say that, and these don't come easy. It comes over time, but I've learned that, and I'll hit them right away, right? Is waking up early, and just having the amount of things that I got to do across the board, with having my own consulting business, and also this product security company and cybersecurity awareness platform that we're building, and just many other things that we have on my radar. it's important to start the morning early. My goal is always to wake up 6 a.m., have a bad habit of working late nights. So you have to train yourself to make sure you cut it at a decent hour. So you have a good, perfect start, but it's never perfect, right? Also making lists. I always have a running list daily. Some of them that I won't get to immediately, and others I do, but many times I found that even found that one thing on my list after a week is like, that at least I have it on my list. Like, oh, I got to get to that, right? Or maybe I have to reprioritize. Maybe that thing wasn't really that important, and I can push the priority to do other things, right? And then lastly, it's the big one is follow-ups. Follow-ups are essential, right? You might have something to do on the list, and then you have to get to that thing, and all of a sudden you did it, but then there was some follow-up afterwards. So you had to reach out to that person or close the loop, right? Closing a loop and making sure that you drive to a closure. It's an ongoing effort and it just never stops.
Get up early, get started, make a plan, put it on paper, and follow up. Make sure your list gets completed. That's a good set of lists.
Yeah.
Talking about Knotel, why should somebody buy from you?
So yeah, good question. In the world of cybersecurity, I would say trust is a big thing, right? And so whenever anyone buys in anything, regardless of cybersecurity or not, you want to make sure that that person is of course reputable, right, and has the credentials, and knows the thing or two about whatever they're talking about, right? So being in this industry for over 20 years now, being a practitioner, a consultant, a builder, played a variety of different roles in product management as well. I've had the opportunity to have a lot of experiences across the board, right? And so I think that's a big thing is knowing the person that's talking about this, is that person is actually knowledgeable in that topic. And that's really it. It's like, I think that's the key thing.
How does someone keep up with the advances in the malware, the ransomware, keep up and keep your product current and up to date?
Yeah. Yes, it's a good question, right? So and because of that whole very nature of the world of tech and cybersecurity in general being so dynamic, and just think about the threats and attack landscape out there, so ever evolving and changing constantly, right? And that's hard for any one person to do, is to keep up with updates and the changes that are happening, and updating whether you have antivirus or you have your firewalls and other technologies that are helping you stay secure and prevent about the bad stuff. There's always changes that are happening. Then you need to maybe possibly update your system or configure your system. Things are going to get missed. Balls are going to get dropped, right? So the key thing there is that, with Knotel, we're relying on that human element. And if things slip through and get in the end, most attacks are actually on the messaging surface, right? Emails and messages. So you could read reports about this, but over 82% compromises occur from email and phishing attacks. So because of that, right, that large surface is that if things slip through and get in, and now it's in your inbox, sitting in your inbox, and your preventative controls were not able to help you, then you need some layer of additional support and an assistant to tell you, hey, and that's what Knotel is there for.
So who would be your ideal client for this Knotel business?
Yeah, so the ideal client can really be anyone. Right now, we're talking to insurance companies, financials, healthcare, law firms, schools and universities are another really good one too. Typically, many times what ends up happening is attackers just love university and school systems. Why? Because they're breeding ground for attacks. Why is that? Because those systems are usually very open, and you can do anything you want on those systems, right? Because they're school systems. and universities and students are using them for research. So they need to do as much as possible on these labs and whatever they can, right? So they become a breeding ground, right? So then having this type of capability becomes super essential. Moving into the consumer world too, right? The consumer world is very, very unprotected these days. You have these large cybersecurity companies that are going after, the large corporations. But what happens to those small businesses? What happens to those companies that can't afford all this tech and all this cool firewalls and all these cool next gen endpoint detection solutions and response solutions and event management, security information event management solutions? So what do, right? So that's that really, going back to kind of where this is catered for. It's really everyone. It's really anyone that just needs an additional help and support, to tell them a thing or two about cybersecurity.
What are you guys doing to find these ideal clients right now?
Yeah, so we're doing a couple of things right now where a lot of it is word of mouth, and as we are, we haven't completely, I would say fully, came out with a full launch yet. We are in stealth, and so a lot of it is word of mouth, right? Yeah, we're also talking to investors, and we're looking for seed investments and angel investments to help launch the company forward and get backing from other top tier executives across the board, whether they're in cybersecurity or other professional organizations, to really help the cause and help push the momentum forward and get it into hands of other large companies and small companies across the board.
So what would be your well-defined products or services, Fayyaz?
So sorry, can you repeat that question? Well-defined.
Well-defined, like what actual product names, and what do you go to your companies and say, here's what I have to sell? Do you have a
like a go-to-market plan type of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. So yeah, and like you said, kind of pivoting back to our original, my original company, IntelliGuards, we actually provide cybersecurity consulting, and we also partner with key solutions like, and one of our own solutions, Notel, but then additionally other solutions to help provide some good, impactful cybersecurity solutions and consulting and providing processes and services around it, right? So one of the things around that, the way we do this is really, partner with whether it's just within our own network and understanding the industry, is going out there and partnering with these other companies, and then kind of building those collaboration models to push forward and to help with our customers. Yeah, and we do some things around, like, just going to events, conferences, meetups, and things like that, right? To spread the word as well.
So would you be in competition, say, with the major players in antivirus and things that are commonly downloaded to a computer, or are you?
Yeah, no, I would say it's very supplementary. And matter of fact, we partner with other next gen solutions as well. Our cybersecurity consulting companies, IntelliGuards, partners with more than next gen cybersecurity solutions that are focused on cloud security, email, and other solutions that help from a visibility perspective, giving you understanding of what's in your environment, to also awareness, right? But definitely not. I would say we're not trying to compete with the typical standard things that you would need. It's kind of like giving the analogy of, like, hey, you have a door lock. Yeah, everyone has a door lock, right? But do you have security cameras? Maybe. Some do, some don't. But then moving forward and kind of, getting into the next gen stuff of, like, hey, do you have someone that's going to tell you what to do or what not to do? Other than your parents, maybe not. Right? So that's the concept.
So what you have fits on top of normal security.
Absolutely.
I got you. Okay.
Absolutely.
And that would give people a sense of protection beyond. It's likely they have something they can do rather than something they just have that maybe blocks things, but this tells you what to do when things happen.
Yeah, exactly. Because nothing is 100%, right? Nothing is 100%. If there's a determined attacker, going back to the analogy of my home, right? That determined attacker, it's not gonna. A door lock may deter them, right? But if they have something they want inside my house, then they'll figure out a way to get in. They're gonna kind of figure out and do maybe some recon on when we're at home, when we're not, right? Do we have cameras where we don't have cameras? What door is open, or what window possibly to get in from, right? Kind of understanding the lay of the land and making sure that they can get in and get what they want, right? So it all depends on the bad guy and how badly they want to get in. Because like I said, going back to what I said, right? It's not about if you're going to get attacked. It's about when. And typically that's what ends up happening. Not for a home, typically, but for larger companies and organizations, that's typically the situation.
Yeah, that starts to show me some of the value of no-tell, and I'm understanding it better as you explain it. How does your client understand they're having a 5-star experience? Like, what is the picture of success?
Yeah. So I would say the picture of success is if visibility is number one, right? Do they feel that they're getting what they want, not from completely, like I said, preventative controls perspective, because nothing is 100%, but can they at least, if something was to get in, like again, having that success of understanding what's around, understanding is just contextual awareness. Do they have all the contextual awareness they can have, right? Do you have blinders on, right? So if you have that, if you got that 20/20 vision, if you can look everywhere, you got that, periphery vision, then that's success in the world of cybersecurity.
Now, if you have clients that are happy with what you're doing, how do they get treated to create brand ambassadors that will refer more clients?
Yeah. How the question is how you get that?
Yeah, converting a client to a brand ambassador, somebody
Yeah.
go out and promote them.
That's a good one. It's a good one, and that's what you always want, because it's not about me saying something; it's about your clients vouching for it, right? Because that speaks volumes. So I think the key thing there is providing a good experience. Working with folks that, like, going back to the reputation and trust, right? That you trust that person, and that person has a good reputation. Also, a big thing is also the user experience from a visibility perspective, and this not kind of talking about visibility, but just from the actual interface. Like, is that interface easy to work with, right? Is it overly complex, or is it just something that's very intuitive? So I think from a just user and consumer perspective of just products as well, right? Regardless of it's cybersecurity or not, it's important to be able to use something and is easy. So that's how you get ambassadors, right? That's how you get someone that can vouch for it. If they feel like it's just kind of tied into their life, and they don't have to like work towards something to make that thing work, right? If it's just there and it just kind of works, right? And the efficacy of the product, right? Is it actually detecting things that's providing you value, or not, right? So that's the other part of it too.
Tell me about the consumer product area that you're going into. How do you plan to achieve your goal of becoming a consumer interface?
Yeah, good. That's a good question. So we're doing a few different things, right? Once we get this embedded into some actual businesses and organizations, what we want to do is we want to allow anyone to just go into their Gmail, or go into my, I've got an iPhone, or their Android phone, and as you go into the marketplace, you could just search for No-Tell, and the concept would be, it would just come up and you download the app. And then that app would at that point just hook into your messaging, and then we're not prying into the emails, because that would be an issue. We're just looking at various different metadata elements of the email, right? And then we can provide that context of like a meter, and showing them, hey, this is good or this is bad, malicious, suspicious. That would be the main thing. And in addition to that, forgot to mention, I'll mention one other thing too, right? We also have a concept of cybersecurity hygiene scores. So think about how you have a credit score, right? Wouldn't it be great if the solution or the tool could give you a score on your hygiene? So if your hygiene is good and you continually are not clicking on bad things or entering information that you're not supposed to enter in, what if you had a higher score? And that can go back to your there is something called cybersecurity insurance, if you haven't heard of it, but there is a thing called cybersecurity insurance where companies actually buy cybersecurity insurance. So if they do get breached, then they can put a claim up against it, right? So that they're not up against having to pay millions of dollars, right? So if your users are good in the company, they have good scores, then you get a discount, kind of like a safe driver discount with insurance, with driving insurance. Same thing, same concept. Is how cool would it be is if you could just pass that score back to a company and say, hey, I've got a user and my employees are actually have good hygiene, so I'm going to get a lower rate.
I like the idea. I think that's got a winning formula for you. So I hope that'll come out soon.
Yeah.
Tell me what advice you would give your 20-year-old self if you look back and say, okay, here's how I'm going to do it this time. What would you do different? What would you tell your 20-year-old self?
Yeah, that's a good one. So what do I tell my 20-year-old self? I would say that make every connection you talk to and just every conversation count. I think that having a positive impact, strong energy with folks is really important. And going back, I wasn't as good of a communicator, and I had to kind of become better at communicating, but it really helps. And it's one of those things that I even tell folks that I have been mentors for, is that it's not the people that it's more the people that it's more about, if you make that connection count, do they know you? Will they remember you, type of thing, right? So it's not, you may have 10,000 people that but if they don't remember you, then it doesn't really matter too much, right? So it's extremely, and having that understanding, and when the going really gets tough, you need folks that can help too, right? And only the ones that remember you will actually help you.
Good advice. I think everybody should follow that kind of thought. So tell me why being impactful is important to you.
Yeah, in the end, it's important because it's just I feel like it's just humanity, right? being impactful and making sure that you made a lasting impact and making sure that people remember you. Going back to that, right? I think that's the biggest thing.
And what do you want to be remembered for when it's all said and done?
What do I want to be remembered for? I guess it would be it's a tough one. It's kind of, I feel like I sound like a broken record here, but I think that's what it is. I think it's just making sure that you're having a lasting impact and doing good in the world.
Yeah, there's a lot of good that can be done, and I've always been bothered personally by the hackers and the ransomware people. They scare me. The fact that they can just take somebody and chokehold them where they can't do business, and they're out. They're like untouchable. That's the hard part. So, is there anything that can catch ransomware people and stop them, or how are we on that forefront?
I wish there was a silver bullet, Bill. Wish there was, and unfortunately, I don't have a good answer. I don't have good news for you, but there isn't, right? There isn't anything that can just stop. There's things, again, that can help to either slow them down, and then afterwards, if something has happened, mitigate, right? Or respond. But again, that's just the way life is, right? There's good and bad. And there's Yeah.
There's no SEAL Team 6 for those guys right now.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we could probably promote that. We could probably say there needs to be a world organization that goes around and just looks for randomware guys wherever they hide.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It's a terrible thing. I know. It bothers a lot of people. It's
Mhm.
kind of like the bank heist or the train robberies of the last century.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate what you're doing to help people avoid that. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Fayyaz, tell us how we can support you and NoTel.
Yeah, I would say that the main thing right now that's front and center for us is that we are we've been heads down in building a pretty awesome solution with a large focus on cybersecurity awareness. We've been lucky to have enough good investors behind the solution, but we are looking for more angel investors in NoTel. If anyone is interested, I'd love to hear from them. In addition to that, we're always if you're a business grappling with cybersecurity issues, like you said, like everyone is having this issue, right? And most are having some issue or not, even if they don't know it. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear from your followers and see if there's any opportunities to actually have you as a customer or have others as a customer or just try out our solution, right? I think that would be the biggest help.
And give us a link or a connection point. How do we find you?
Yeah, you can check out the site at www.notel.co. So the website's out. Again, we're just about to be launching our V1 product next month, and so it'll be out, and look out for us in the Google Marketplace and Apple App Store as well. As soon as it's out, then it'll be also listed on the website and available for downloads. So.
Okay, we're catching you at a good time then. Before
Mhm.
launch, your product comes out within a month or so. So we'll be waiting, and everybody goes, "Oh, I know about NoTel. I saw
Yeah.
Fayyaz Rajpari, and he was talking about that on the Influencers podcast." So how
Yeah.
was your
Yeah.
experience on the show today?
It was great. I mean, you asked a lot of good questions for sure, Bill. It was a pleasant experience. You had some tough ones too, but I think overall it was good, and hopefully your audience will enjoy the show today.
Thank you for that. Right. I think it's an interesting topic that everybody wants to know more of. They actually don't want to know about it. They want to feel good about it. They just want to have it taken care of, and they don't want to worry. But in this day and age, it's one of the most important things you can do. It used to be you needed a lock on the door. Now you need a lock on your computer and your
Yeah.
iPhone.
Yeah, and you got the locks, right? And it's just that it's just not enough, right? It's never enough, it seems like. So that's what we're here for, right? And then say that cybersecurity, if you ask me, yeah, if I was just gonna kind of end off with a few words, but maybe if you got other questions, then let's get to that.
This is the time for that final word. So I'm going to give you as long as you'd like
Okay.
to talk to our audience, and we'll have fun. I'll let you finish up the.
Yeah, sure. So I would say, just ending off with a few words, right? I'd say that cybersecurity has been a passion of mine for over 20 years. I've done this for most of my career life. I've been on all sides of cybersecurity, from being a practitioner to evangelizing solutions, cybersecurity solutions, and to building products now for the past 5 years. It's been a great honor for me to talk about this on your show. I hope it hits thousands of folks. Would be great for millions of folks, but I'll take thousands of viewers. It's a struggle in today's digital world. We are truly here to make an impact for our customers and provide them what they need. Whether you're a customer or just individual user, we feel that having a digital security assistant directly in your inbox in text messaging, focusing on straightening human element, will be extremely impactful and lower the likelihood of you becoming a victim. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much, Fayyaz Rajpari with NoTel out of Chicago, Illinois. We're thankful that you could be with us today, and I want to encourage our audience to keep a lookout for NoTel and check in with Fayyaz, if you have an interest in increasing the cybersecurity of your firm, your organization. It's Dr. Bill Williams signing off again for Influencers Podcast. Look forward to seeing you on our next show. Stay tuned. We'll talk to you soon. Good night.